fires up How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. And of course, good morning to the world, receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet, formerly known as the Adapanet, created by whom? Created by we the people. Repeating again, created by we the people, and that will be maintained by we the people. Got a lot to talk about, but without further ado, let's move it to the geniuses in the studio, Senor Howard Reynolds and Jack Van Bebba.
Nope. Jack Van Bebber and the buffoon.
No.
His trained monkey.
Little buffoon and big
No. How you guys doing this morning?
Well,
I'm doing great.
Tuesday morning at the radio here, the 3rd of February, 2026. We have come to work yet again. We're still here, getting ready to enter pledge drive pretty soon. So I want the folks to stay with us when we do that. And let's see what else we got here. Oh, just watching the spin going on. The spin, oh yeah, up in Minnesota. The big spin. They're trying to, then now they're seizing 6-year-old, 5-year-old voter records, so Trump can, tell us how he won the election and how he was cheated out of it and how he deserves a third term and et cetera. It's just nauseating, but it's what we got. And Jack has something on his phone here. Jack has moved into the 21st century.
Barely.
I am so proud of this man. He's learned how to operate computers. He's learned how to operate cell phones, so let's let him have his moment here.
All right, Jack.
Good morning, Egberto. Here's your topics for today. In this pivotal episode, the host navigates the unfolding terrain of citizen accountability and democratic resistance. Voters in a recent town hall didn't just challenge Representative Dan Crenshaw's talking points on immigration and U.S. foreign policy towards Venezuela. They dismantled them with clarity and purpose, exposing a governing class out of touch. Meanwhile, Senator Amy Klobuchar's remarks at the Harris County Democratic Party gala framed President Trump's federal crackdown as a catalyst for a broader awakening, asserting that Democratic forces are not merely reacting but gearing up to win. Overlaying both stories are fraught national conversations about threats to electoral integrity with troubling rhetoric about nationalizing voting that crystallizes the stakes facing the republic. And I got a request to read my Friday's little reading because it broke up so bad. So it's still pretty pertinent, so I'm going to go ahead with that. The ballot raid in Fulton County, Georgia, is about suppressing the black vote. Couple that with the cruelty of ICE's illegal immigrant enforcement tactics, mask a greater truth: authoritarian rule of American citizens. ICE's brutal tactics are designed to crush dissent and intimidate the people into silence, desensitize the people to state violence, as one group after another is rounded up and sent to detention, America's version of Nazi concentration camps. Our economy looks like it's fixing to tank, so Americans, focus on your survival needs like vegetable gardening and raising chickens instead of self-gratification of your wants and desires. Eliminate as much consumer consumption as you can and stop paying the people that are trying to enslave you. Keep some cash handy and learn to communicate and network with your neighbors and community.
Does that mean I have to take my $5 out of the bank?
Well, that's Yesterday they said that they are cutting back on how much you can draw out of the bank, so I think they're getting a little bit scared here, don't you know?
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned the Crenshaw town hall. If you read the account of the Hill, it's so absurd. You absolutely have to read the Hill, their account of the town hall meeting. Then read Egberto's because that's the truth. They were talking about the radical people showing up and having disrupting the meeting and et cetera, et cetera. On this, it's called the Hill. You
Yeah.
do a search for the town hall, Crenshaw town hall. Then Egberto's is right underneath that. If you read the Hill first, then read Egberto's, you'll know the truth about
You,
what actually happened there.
you know what is so interesting? Thank you for reminding us about how mainstream reporting really harms this country. Because the good thing about it, Howard, is that I have the entire 2 hour. Well, it's under 2 hours because he skipped. He got scared and ran out of there. But I have the entire 2 hour video, and other people are willing to give me their vantage point of the 2 hour video. Yesterday, last night, in fact, one of the members of Indivisible Houston sent me a promo that he put on his TikTok or Instagram, one or the other, where they cut the video in a manner to make these people look like they were some kind of radicals. They didn't do a good job of it. So I took that video and added the actual video of what a Republican lawyer confronted him about, and I have several of those other cuts that I'm going to prepare because the truth is something that we have to get out. I didn't even see the Hills article. So you said it's right under. You did a quick Google search of the Hill with his name, and
Yeah,
and it popped out first. Okay,
I did.
I
Yeah,
I hadn't
that's the
even
first
looked
thing
at
that
it.
pops up.
Okay,
That's the first thing that comes up. So you might want to take a look at that
I am
and
gonna
just
take a
see
look
how
at that.
it's comical.
Yeah,
It's disgusting that anyone and they probably weren't even there.
you're
I
right.
doubt they were. I doubt they were even there to know what was going on.
Yeah, the good thing about it, Howard, is I went ahead and placed the entire 2 hour video on YouTube. I did two videos. So the videos from the inside and the videos from the outside. And on the outside, you'll see a lengthy discussion with the protesters on the outside that were very, very respectful, with a couple of police officers that try to tell them their signs were offensive. It is
Get them
amazing.
offensive signs out of here, man.
Yes, man. Yes, man. But before I get started, since we got a first call, I think I'm going to throw Brother Johnny on, and then I'll play Klobuchar. Then we'll get into the way Brother Jack explained it. So let's have a little chat. Johnny, what's up?
An increasingly theoretical good Tuesday morning to you guys. And why I'm calling today, and why I'm calling today is you probably can figure it out what you guys been talking about. The Georgia incident with taking their voter registration records and voting machines and such. Let's not forget, we all been taught from a young age that not only power corrupts absolutely, but also knowledge is power. So guess what? Even though Donald Trump is as dumb as a stump, he's got people behind him that are not. They're the ones you
Yes.
got to worry about. And it was during his so-called administration not too long ago where these doggy guys, they unlawfully, as far as I'm concerned, entered various government buildings for the purpose of copying sensitive, highly personal information of Americans all across of America, every
Oh,
American, voting,
man.
not just their voting records, but their health status, their tax information, where they went to school, all kinds of stuff. And now, going to Georgia for an entire state, for all their voting tape, those tapes that the computers have,
Hmm.
that has all the information on it, that's what they're going to do. They want to know who voted for him and who didn't. And they're going to take what they have from the IRS and all those other government computers, and they've got a total information awareness of everybody. So if they don't like the way you voted in Georgia or in what other state that they go to, guess what? At some point, without us realizing it, they will start showing up at people's houses. They're doing it now for other reasons, right?
Right.
So how do we counteract that stuff?
Well, it is.
That's a very tough question.
Let me just tell you, there's a lot to talk about with this, and I want to point out. I spoke a little bit about it on my 3 o'clock show, but I'm going to do it here in more detail. But anything else, Johnny? Before I want to play Klobuchar because I thought she gave an inspiring speech. I had a couple of complaints from my subscribers who said that why are you highlighting Klobuchar? She doesn't support Medicare for all. It is true, but we're not single issue voters, and also we can force them. It is up to us to get Medicare for all. Let me just point that out. It is up to us to get Medicare for all. It is up to us to make sure she does what she had. Well, she won't be there next year, but whoever is there, it is up for us to make sure that we make them do what we want them to do. But Johnny, thank you as usual for your insightful. Go ahead.
In closing with Klobuchar, you may not be surprised when you hear this, but I can't remember what it was that she said or did recently that I objected to, and I even left various angry voicemail messages. I just can't remember what it was. I mean, there's such a fireplug of stuff. My mind can't hold this stuff all anymore.
No, your mind is fine, Johnny. Johnny, your mind is fine. If you notice how much I forget and have to rewrite, I say, oh my God. Sometimes I'm writing the blog and I'm saying, let me hurry and write this because I'm gonna forget what I'm thinking about putting next.
Well, at least you got the awareness. I keep forgetting to bring myself some sticky notepad, paper when I call you guys. So
I'm going to tell you one thing though. It's good to have. People complain about AI, and I keep telling folks what we need to do about AI, right? But there are times that I would say, what was I thinking about again? And the thing with, because it has my body of information, it'll say like, was it this? And I'm like, that's what it is. Anyway, thank you, my brother. We'll talk another day. Take care, brother. Peace.
We need crime scene tape for the White House.
Absolutely. You have a good one, brother. All right. It looks like I've got okay, I guess that's not one. So, okay, folks, let me tell you where we're going to go. We're going to start with a 16-minute Klobuchar piece, and then we'll continue. But I really enjoyed the speech. The sound may not be the most perfect, but it's as good as I could get it.
Democrats, I will tell you that Lizzie Fletcher and I have been texting in real time. But I want you to know that when Texas waves that fight on democracy, we stood with you just like you are standing with Minnesota today. When your governor went after Texas public schools, you showed up. You took back the Cy-Fair school board, and that was they're putting in the work. They're fired up. They're standing up for our rights, and I am telling you, we are ready for you to win that U.S. Senate seat. So, I know that Minnesota and Texas sometimes feel far from each other. But I truly believe that it's one of the reasons that I wanted to be with you. I was ready to go in the fall, and I know that for many reasons that event had to be taken down, although I will say it allowed me to go to Farm Aid and get to spend a half hour with Willie Nelson, so but we do have things in common, and I'm not just talking about I-35. You're the Lone Star State, we're the North Star State. Texas had LBJ, and Minnesota had his running mate, Hubert Humphrey, two champions for voting rights and for civil rights. Together, they led the nation through some of our toughest times. In Harris County, we have the Houston Museum District, which is incredible, one of the most concentrated cultural areas in the world, 21 museums, 7 million visitors a year. And in Minnesota, you may not know this, but we have the only museum devoted entirely to spam. Or we call it the Guggenheim. So something else we have in common is that we don't just take things, we fight back. And we are all sick and tired of what is going on in Washington, D.C. right now, the chaos, the corruption, the cost. And we are standing up. So I want to talk a little bit about my home state. As your chair mentioned, Minnesota has been at the center of America's heartbreak, and it has been a year, right? We go back beyond the year to George Floyd, but then you go this year with our beloved leader of the House of Representatives, who was Texas strong in her incredible way, Melissa Horton, and her husband, their assassination, and we have these little kids gunned down through stained glass windows in a church, and then we are where we are now. And we will tell you, the center of America's heartbreak. But I hope what you're seeing right now is that we're also the center of America's courage and hope. By the way, we might have a lot of great Texas musicians, but Bruce yesterday performed in Fritz's place, First Avenue, came out to Minnesota to sing that song. What happened here? Renee Good, devoted mom of 3, gunned down. Alex Preddy, an ICU nurse who served our veterans at the Minneapolis VA hospital. We've had so many veterans speak out about what he had done for them and also their families, that he was there with their loved ones in their closing hours. Both were killed by federal agents in the same month. Renee's last words were, "I'm not mad at you." And as he was helping a woman who had been shoved to the ground, Alice's last words were, "Are you okay?" And this administration, our own federal government, after this happens, literally within an hour after each of them were gunned down, they labeled them as domestic terrorists. When I talked to Alex's parents, they said they wanted the truth known about their son, but they also said, and what a kind-hearted man he was, but they also said that they wanted us to call out the administration for what they had done and the lies that they had told. So part of my job tonight and our job across the country is to get the truth out. As your chair mentioned, there are 3,000 ICE agents on our streets. You know, maybe in Houston or in Dallas, it wouldn't seem as big a number, but it outnumbers our 10 largest metro police forces combined. Minneapolis-St. Paul alone only has 1,100 sworn officers. They came in and said they were going after the worst of the worst. You know, we supported help with violent offenders, or we supported a fraud investigation at the beginning when we thought they were just sending a few people to help with that. That's not what happened. Instead, they ripped a young elder out of his home in frigid weather, dragged him out in his underwear, and it turns out they brought him around for an hour, and they found out that they had not only the wrong guy, but the guy they were trying to find had been in jail for years and years and is still today. They took a 2-year-old toddler and a little girl who was just adorable and put her on a plane to your state. A judge's case was pending, and the judge ruled that the child had to come back to her mom. My office worked on it through the night, and that child is now reunited with her mom. A 5-year-old boy, you've seen the pictures, in a little bunny hat with floppy ears, Spider-Man backpack, and agent's hand grabbing at his backpack. Liam is at the detention center over in Dilley. And my friend and your friend, Joaquin Castro, went to check on him the other day. Liam's father told Congressman Castro that Liam hasn't been himself. He's been sleeping a lot because he has been depressed and sad. Think about that. A little boy taken from his friends, his mom and his classmates. Liam's principal is still keeping his belongings safe in his school cubby. And today, just a few hours ago, we got some good news. In Texas, lawyers matter, judges matter, and never forget this. A judge in Texas, standing up for the rule of law, ordered the release of Liam and his father. Less safe in our state. We have crossed the line of legality, morality, and decency. Finally, a few Republicans including some of my Senate colleagues, are seeing that this is an assault on the Constitution. It has taken them way too long. And as I've said to them, you can't call yourself a defender of liberty if you don't defend liberty when it comes. Our Republican colleagues need to stand up to this president, and they rarely do it. And that's why we do not need more rubber-stamped officials in the U.S. Senate, in governor's offices, or in the state houses across the country. When you look at what Donald Trump has promised, he has broken those promises. Standing up for freedom, no. Completely wrong. Standing up to bring costs down, no. Costs are up, chaos is up, and corruption is up. He promised to bring down costs on day one. He broke that promise on day one. You know how hard it is when it comes to child care, when it comes to housing, when it comes to paying for health care. Americans saw their premiums double, and you saw how we went into that shutdown this fall. Democrats, including your incredible Congress leaders that are in the hall today, they stood up and said, we're not going to let these health care premiums down. We know Texas, one of the biggest states, that would have helped to keep those tax credits in place. But they wouldn't do it. Just recently, 17 Republicans finally joined every Democrat in voting to do that, but now it's stalled out over in the Senate, where they're much more worried about giving tax cut to billionaires. And that is all on top of this big ugly bill, which are kicking millions of people off their health care while pushing our rural hospitals and nursing homes to the brink. Donald Trump and Republicans promised they would stand up for our farmers. You know in Texas that they've broken that promise. The tariffs are crushing them. And he is more interested in giving $20 billion bailouts to Argentina than helping our farmers out and stealing their markets out from under them. So he broke his promises, and then he broke out the bulldozer. He bulldozed the East Wing, just like he bulldozed the economy. And I don't think people thought he would bulldoze the Constitution, but that's what he's trying to do. And in a state like yours that values freedom, I think it's really important to not just talk about the costs and the tariffs and the chaos and the corruption, but to make this point. If your Republican leaders in Texas value the First Amendment, then why are they messing around with the right to assemble every day? If they value the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, then why did Trump officials go after Alex Reddy for being a lawful gun permit holder when it was those agents that took the gun out from under him and then shot him in the back? If they value the Fourth Amendment, this idea that you can't just have your door rammed through and hinges flying through the air and the protection against search and seizure, then they should be speaking out. And if they value the Fifth Amendment right to due process, then they should be speaking out. Trump doesn't trump the Constitution. So this week, we see the people across our state and our country, regardless really of what side of the aisle they're on, regular citizens have spoken out. They've had enough. Ordinary people have been doing extraordinary things. They have stood up, marched, brought food to their neighbors, and they have not blinked. A church packed with diapers and meat for families terrified to come out of their homes. A veteran that Alex Reddy took care of in the ICU, who put herself out on national TV to tell the country that he treated every vet like they were his only patient. Police chiefs in my state and nationally, mayors, business, community leaders have all joined together and sent the White House a clear message to get ICE out of our state. And last week, I know this is hard to watch through Texas, maybe you're just a little warmer. 50,000 Minnesotans, I was there, marched peacefully in minus 10 below zero temperature. They marched with signs that, well, I couldn't put most of them in the photo, but I did find one that said, "Love melts ice." 50,000 people stood strong in the middle of the tundra and said, "Immigrants don't diminish America. They are America." And I'm proud of this connection that we've always had with your state. We have refused to give in to the hate. And what I've told the people of my state is that don't look down. Don't look away. Don't avert your eyes. We must continue to look at each other. We must continue to look, in our case, at the North Star, in your case, the Lone Star. That's what I mean when I say there is hope. From coast to coast, and right there with all of you, I wish I could have been there in person, and I will one day, in Harris County, Americans are watching. They see our resilience. They see that grit. They see that we are much bigger than one man in the White House, no matter how tough he thinks he is, no matter how much shock and awe he loves to put out there every day just to distract the news. They see that people in our state, that nurses and doctors and people who are standing up have more backbone than Stephen Miller and J.D. Vance and Kristi Noem could ever even think exist. They have more courage and self-belief finding them shipped out of his job and shipped out of Minnesota. All of us in Minnesota and Texas must continue to sustain the strength. You've done it before with your legislative battles. And when we get tired, I can always think of Texas. I think about our friend, Sheila Jackson Lee. I think about Ann Richards, the one of the best coach of all time. I've been tested by fire, and the fire lost. And by the way, she's a true role model to me as I embark on this governor campaign in the state of Minnesota with 8 years of that. I also think about Barbara Jordan and what she laid out so beautifully. What the people want is simple. I once quoted this at a national convention and honored her. What the people want is simple. They want an America as good as its promise. America's promise. The promise of a government motivated to protect people's freedom and make their lives better. Reaching that promise is how we make progress. It's how we make progress on health care. It's how we get more Americans to be able to buy their first home. It's how we make life affordable and dreams achievable for millions of America. The fight for that promise, yes, it's taking place in Minnesota in a larger-than-life way. But every single day in the heart of Texas, it's taking place. This is our moment. This is a moment as big as the state of Texas. So let's win this Harris County. I'm going to come back in person and celebrate everything you've done. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. I love the statement. We are, and hear this well, folks, we are bigger than one man in the White House. First of all, I thought that was such a well-constructed speech with both passion, feelings, and facts. I thought that was so well put together. And for my friends who don't like her particularly, that speech was an American speech of freedom and fight, in my humble opinion. And for all the things you don't like about her, are things that we are responsible for doing and fighting for, and ensuring that we remind all the politicians that they work for us. There are over 330 million of us. They work for us, and it's for us to engage. They listen to whoever fills the empty vessel, either the lobbyists and the corporations, or we, the people. Yesterday, we spoke a whole lot about Taylor Remet's win in a very red county in Texas. Huge win, 31-point swing. Trump won it by 17 points. He won it by 14 points. Unheard of. But let me tell you the part of that story that isn't spoken about often enough. The Republican Party threw in millions of dollars into that state race. Millions of dollars. This guy didn't have any money. He's a working class guy. Working class guy. And do you think the Democratic Party is going to throw a hell of a lot of money into that race? Hell no. And he won the thing by 14 points. This is a message that says, don't sit back and think we don't have the money to win. We don't have when I say we, I'm talking about we, the people, whomever you are. Don't sit back and think we can't win because we don't have the money or because something wasn't done before. This is a moment when Klobuchar talked about this is the moment. This is a moment when a whole lot of MAGA actually see how they're being harmed. This is the moment that a whole lot of MAGA see that the Trumpster is in for building monuments to himself and collecting money on your backs. This is the moment when MAGA sees that their siblings are dying and losing health care and they can materially know where to direct that. Of course, there are those who you will never change, but doesn't matter. There are enough who will. And you know how we know that there are enough who will? Because there are enough who have already done it. A 31 points turnaround in the reddest district in Texas. That should give you not hope, which I don't believe in, but it should give you the resolve to go out there and take what's yours. And that is our country back. Not in the form of those who kept on saying, don't tread on me, don't tread on me. But this is our country, folks. And don't forget that. Welcome aboard, Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia, Harry Denson from Missouri City, Texas, Debbie Weiser Williams in the house, Paul Fleminger. Welcome, my brother. Debbie Williams says something very good from the speech. Love melts ice. Love that. Yes, love melts everything. Once you have love, you have all that you need. Uju M is in the house. Lynette, how you doing? Beautiful. Uju, Lynette. R.F. Stanley is in. Judy is in. Richard Hogan, how you doing, Richard? Thank you all for being here. A lot more in there. I won't. Glenn Ryan, my brother from another mother that loves giving me hell, and I love when he gives me hell because we all deserve getting hell from Glenn Ryan. Anthony Palmieri, Bobby K, how you doing, Bobby? Marnie, I think I called out Lynette already. Ken Gibson, anybody it's all mumbled up in the list. If I didn't call you out, forgive me. But let's go to the phones. I got a lot more to talk about, but you come first. Bobby, come on in.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to talk about what you had said earlier up at that protest in spring, how the police were trying to have the protesters that were out on the sidewalk, with their things, have them leave.
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that the police officer who was trying to give them those orders probably knew that he was given unlawful orders and trying to use his badge to, in a way, unlawfully, take away their amendment rights. I feel like that is a crime. As a police officer, you pull up and you're given demands based on just out your own personal feelings, trying to take away these people's rights to protest. I feel like they should have got his badge number. I feel like that police department needs to get called and be like, hey, why are you training your police officers to go out here and try to take away people's, lawful rights? It's just, that's why people call them pigs when they start acting like that, and I don't want people to start dehumanizing these supposedly good police officers, because if they do, then, things are just going to get worse because
let me tell you that I have the full video, and the most important thing, and this is for everybody to hear, Bobby, the most important thing is to have knowledgeable people. Yes, sometimes some police officers would disregard even when somebody knows, but in effect, these protesters here, I'm telling you, are very smart. And they pretty much were very cool with the officer and pretty much did the right thing. And the officer eventually left. They had such poignant
charged.
statements to their officers, and they left. Now I get what you're saying, and you're probably right about that, because they were going above and beyond their duty. In fact, they were doing something unconstitutional. So you're right about that, Bobby. Anything else before I get to Patty, Bobby?
That's it. Have a good
Thank
day.
you, my brother. You have a wonderful day, sir. Let's go to Patty. Come on in, Patty.
Good morning. I'd just like to say that regarding Amy Klobuchar, I feel like she is doing one of the best jobs of nonpartisan politicking. It should not be I win, you lose. It has to be where everyone wins, gets some of what they want. And I believe that she is one of those politicians. So often you hear that all the politicians are corrupt, and I think she's a good example of someone who's honest and is working for everyone. And I hope that we see more of that in this round of elections, where the politicians are truthfully unifying, not dividing, giving former Republicans who still would like to be Republicans but are not MAGA an off-ramp from this lawless administration.
What you just said was so important. Give them an off-ramp. Everybody needs an off-ramp when they have found out that they've been had, when they found out, and that is personally, Patty, that's what I hope to do. I mean, I am not hiding my values, I'm not hiding my ideology, but at the same time, I hope to bring along or let those that are quote unquote doing wrong understand that when they decide to do right, many of us will be here ready to give you a hug and bring you into the fold. Because until that happens, you are so right. We don't get the kind of changes that we need. We need to stop the 50+1 type wins. We need the 80% win, the 90% wins, because that's where most of us are. In fact, I've seen that's where most of us are. Anything else, Patty?
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day, ma'am.
You too.
Okay, let me go ahead and play before I continue with I think the most important thing, and that is about what Trump has been talking about, the vote. I just want to play the piece of that town hall so that you can see what we're talking about, how Dan Crenshaw treated his audience, the little ad that he put together. Anyway, let me shut up and just play that. Para ver, aquí está. Dan Crenshaw continues to have horrendous town halls. I want you to listen to this Republican attorney who challenged him, and he became very condescending with her. She finally said, "I'll never vote for you again."
I've been a 40-year trial attorney. I've handled pro bono immigration to try to help people get legal, and for everyone, a civics lesson very briefly. If you are here on a political asylum appeal, you are legally here.
Right.
Specifics of the case, if you're not congressman, and generally you need to be aware of what's going on.
Right.
They pluck those people off the street if they are legally here, especially if they're citizens. That is a constitutional violation.
Yes.
That's correct.
Being a judge doesn't make your, it does not change a single thing. Because you haven't specified a single case.
I'm going to give you just some generalities because I want to ask you.
Generalities are not useful, are they?
But there are some specific points that you need to educate yourself on these
I'm pretty educated on this topic.
You just said that you weren't. Be quiet, Dan. Let her finish.
You're on your own time. You're like an official. You just said you're a judge. I think
I
just.
said I'm an attorney.
Okay.
Hey, keep up.
All right. You're not going to respect what we'll go to the next question. No.
voted for you.
Don't vote for this guy.
Trust me. Maybe you don't have a question. You just want to have your own town hall. Well, no, let her finish. It's a long speech.
What is the modern Republican group in Congress doing to try to keep the constitutional violations under check?
Nothing.
Of course, having that disaster and many more like that for the shortened time that he was there, you know what? He thought he had a winning issue with Venezuela. So he made a video out of that to show I am strong and you have the nerve to disagree on this particular issue. Of course, it was the only issue where somehow he thought he made progress. It didn't. I'll tell you this afterwards.
Raise your hand if you wish he was still in power. You don't think Trump should have gotten him out? Anybody? Good. Good. Glad we all agree. So you think he should still be in power? You just don't want to raise your hand. Okay, it's one or the other. It's a yes or no question. It's one or the other. There's no in between. There's no in between. All right, you think he should still be in power? There's one. This is honest.
It's not black and white.
You don't want it. It's not black and white from the comfort of your living room, but it is black and white in the real world.
He accused his town hall as being infiltrated by lefties. But the most intelligent statement there was from the woman in this particular case, as they discussed Venezuela, who said, it's not black and white, Dan. And what Dan was trying to say is, did you want to keep Maduro in power? That's not the question, or that's not the issue. The reality is, Maduro was arrested, but his entire infrastructure in Venezuela remained the same. So the person who needs education on what's happening in Venezuela is not his constituent. His constituent was absolutely right. It's not black and white. Donald Trump should not have invaded Venezuela. And to put it worse, he should have invested all that money that he has in the Armada over in Venezuela, off the coast of Venezuela. That money should be used to give people subsidies for health care. His own constituents are paying the price for his support for somebody who is using taxpayer dollars to build monuments, to have wars, and to do all the things that do nothing for his constituencies. So the people there were not there to raise hell for the sake of raising hell. They were not lefties. They were constituents that simply weren't taken care of by their congressperson. And let me say, first of all, sorry for that audio itself. What happens is a lot of these people go to the place with these videos on their heads because they want to make sure they can capture everything. And the sound in that area, you see that it's made with some rocky walls, which means the sound absorption is terrible. But that said, what he did, and I don't know if it came over clearly, is as people were talking, if he got an inkling that they were talking against a policy that he supported, he will constantly interrupt them and not give them a chance to speak. And that's why you heard one of the other people say, let them speak, Dan. And when she shouted, I'll never vote for you again, the other candidate says, why are you voting for him anyway? But again, it was the type of town hall that he is having in this area, throughout this area. His people are not at all happy, especially what he's supporting. All right, anyway, folks, telephone number 713-526-5738, extension number 2, 713-526-5738. Glenn Ryan says, if only we had people in Congress who recognize their duty to impeach this criminal, and yet our so-called opposition party leadership sit on their hands and don't even utter the phrase, it is their duty as per the Constitution. Glenn, how can I possibly be 100% in agreement with you, man? You're absolutely right, sir. You're absolutely right. There's another one says, oh, we're Richard, you're in Ottawa, Canada. Great to have you in here in Canada. Paul says facts of the day. In their last fiscal year, the Kennedy Center had $306 million in revenue, grew their net assets by 69 million, effectively profits, and had a $180 million investment portfolio. Now, less than a year after taking over as chair of the board and filling it with sycophants, Trump has declared it is failing and shutting it down. Somehow, it is everyone's fault but his. Yeah, I mean, nobody who in their right mind wants to perform at the Kennedy Center when it now has Trump's name on it and all that Trump represents, from Epstein all the way to anarchy, all the way to authoritarianism. Who would want to go ahead and support anything that Donald Trump is a part of? Okay, yesterday Donald Trump went on Borghino's, what is his name? Borghino, the former assistant to the FBI. And I think I better play that. Let me go ahead and play what he actually said. I think I can do that. Let's play that.
These people were brought to our country to vote, and they vote illegally. And amazing that the Republicans aren't tougher on it. The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting. And we have states that are so crooked, and they're counting votes. We have states that I won that show I didn't win. Now you're going to see something in Georgia where they were able to get, with a court order, the ballots. You're going to see some interesting things come out. But, like the 2020 election, I won that election by so much. Everybody does it. They put a woman in jail, Colorado, put a woman in jail, a wonderful woman, 72 years old, had cancer, because she was a voting inspector. She was in charge of a voting area, and she saw boxes of votes come in. So she went over to check it, and they put her in jail for voter manipulation, and she's still in jail. And they better let her out fast. And they're suffering a big price, Colorado. They have this woman in jail who's 71 years old and probably has cancer. She's sick. And they put her in because she challenged somebody that was dumping ballots into a box, okay? And they didn't put them in jail. This was during Biden's term. The worst president in history. And we had some bad ones. I mean, look, Barack Hussein Obama, I call him the Great Divider. Right. People couldn't stand him. You mentioned his name, they go crazy. They start booing the hell out of him. We had some really bad ones. I mean, Jimmy Carter wasn't exactly the greatest. Jimmy Carter didn't exactly have the hit on Venezuela that I had. Remember, his hits, they always turned out to be a disaster. Right. He went out, he had a hit, the helicopters were crashing into each other, the hostages and everything. That's why Ronald Reagan won the election, was so pathetic. But we do it right. We've got the greatest military. I built the military. You know that in my first term. I built the military, even though they gave.
All right, enough of that. But let me just say this, right? You heard the two things that he said there. First, about controlling the elections, but he doesn't sound well. First of all, he sounds kind of drunk, but I think that is because he's mentally, he's all over the place. He has a mental problem. And that the sycophants continue to put him in front. That just shows that he's not running the White House. He's just the front piece of the White House. The other folks in the back end are doing it. I want to talk a little bit about the vote if I can get a chance, but let me run to Jimmy and then Ray. Jimmy, real quick, my brother.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but the Klobuchar interview was, I could not understand 90% of it. I guess it was just too muffled. But I'm glad you put it on. I should have gone to the dinner myself. But yeah, we need to talk about specific issues. We do need a health care subsidy, and we do need free tuition in public colleges. That would be the best thing for this country. We need to cut back on the military spending. That's a big waste of money. And we need to have free tuition in public colleges. That would raise up our educational level for the whole country and benefit not only our country but the rest of the world with more educated people.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Jimmy. You have a wonderful rest of your day, my brother. All right, let's go to Ray. And sorry about that audio. I did the best I could with what I got. I actually taped the one at the dinner, but the other one was from one of those headward camera. And just for you, Eric, no, they were not hidden cameras. Everybody saw that they had cameras on. Thank you very much. Ray, come on in, my brother.
Yes, top of the morning to you, Egberto. I actually wanted to just highlight real quick because I know it's a hard stop on this show, but I wanted to say like that video of Dan Crenshaw talking down to his constituent. It just gives you a snapshot of how they feel about us. It's very transactional. It's just like Trump when he said, "Vote for me one time, you'll never have to do it again," and it was basically his way of saying, just give me power and let me do what I want to do. Don't worry about what's going to happen in the future because it'll be too late to care. But that's all I wanted to say on that, and you got to get these clowns out.
Thank you, my brother. You actually nailed it, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. Thank you, Ray. Look, folks, here is the thing. When you give an autocrat or a wannabe autocrat the plausibility that what he's saying could happen, you make it possible to happen. Donald Trump should have been in jail already for the insurrection that he created on January 6th. We have made it now that a January 6th type event is no longer disqualifying. I mean, that's the precedent that we have set because Congress did not do its job, because the judiciary didn't do its job. Now Donald Trump says maybe we should nationalize elections. But before that, the Supreme Court gave this president immunity from anything that he does while he is in office. What that means is people will say, well, it's only the president that got immunity, but the people below him can do as they please, can't do as they please because they don't have immunity. That's partially true. They don't have immunity. But because the president has immunity and he is the president, he can have anybody do bad deeds. And just before he leaves office, if he leaves office, right? And notice I said if not because I'm giving it plausibility, but because I'm more concerned about whether we will ensure that he has to leave office. And that's one of the things I want to prop up here. But anyway, when he leaves office, he can pardon everybody that he gave an illegal order to do. These are the things that the Supreme Court couldn't have been so shallow that they didn't understand that they didn't understand that giving that type of immunity to the top effectively gives everybody within the Trump administration who follows his order implicit immunity because the top has immunity and the power of the pardon. This Supreme Court knew exactly what they were doing. This Supreme Court is not only, for all practical purposes, unconstitutional. This Supreme Court is derelict. And more, this Supreme Court is unpatriotic. Because what they've done is they've laid the foundation to give a leader that's not pushed back the ability to create an autocracy. Now, to Ms. Klobuchar's state, Minnesota has proven that more powerful than anything else, more powerful than a few people with guns, are the masses on the streets. More powerful than masked terrorists are the people on the streets saying, no, you will not, peacefully. And yes, We've had a few martyrs that have gone down, but you cannot be governed unless you cede your ability to be governed. And let's remember that. That's the only answer. I got my 2-minute mark here, so let me throw it to Howard and Jack to see if they have something to finish up on.
Well, Jack does. I don't. Go ahead, Jack.
Well, this is our country, and who do we need to take it back from? The wealthy corporate elites that are by definition fascists who have taken over our government functioning, period.
Those finks.
Those Grinches.
Thank you,
right,
thank you for that. All right.
Take it home, Alberto.
Thank you, brother. Let me just say this, guys. Everybody that's listening. Don't buy into when you read headlines that says, oh my God, is he going to nationalize the election? That's unconstitutional. And it is every state, every county runs its own election. If you find at any time that your county, your state is doing something that it shouldn't with that election, and that process starts now, get the bodies out there peacefully, but get the bodies out there. Let them know you're watching. There's nothing like watching for disinfectant. Light is a great disinfectant. You can get the rest of the program at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. You can email me directly, kpft@politicsdoneright.com. Repeating, kpft@politicsdoneright.com. I love you all, and I mean that from the depths of my heart. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know for a fact how I'm going to end this program. We are what? We are out.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute,